The screen door slammed behind me. My chest tightened. I didn't move, didn't speak. You need to leave. Her voice cracked but carried the weight of finality. I looked at her, Sarah, my aunt, standing in the narrow kitchen, the early morning sun catching the sharp edge of something in her eyes. Fear, anger, or maybe something worse. Her hands trembled as she held the phone. I caught the glow of the screen. A police officer's name flashed. I called them, she said. They're sending someone with a restraining order. I felt a laugh rise up, bitter, dry. For what, Sarah? For telling you the truth. She didn't answer. Instead, she stepped back, her face tightening, folding into itself. I wanted to grab her, to explain, but the look on her face stopped me cold. And then the front door locked behind me, shutting me out of the only place I ever felt close to family. It started 3 weeks earlier. I was at her house, helping with the garden. Sarah always loved to get her hands dirty, a kind of escape from the dull hum of her marriage. "Mark, you're digging too deep," she said, brushing dirt off her hands, glancing sideways at me. I laughed, leaning on the shovel. Maybe the flowers need it. That day felt normal, like any other visit, but something hung in the air, something unspoken. She had a phone call while I was inside getting water. The voice was sharp, clipped, almost like a warning. I caught her name, David, and the word meet. It nagged at me the whole afternoon. David was her husband. Or at least, the man she was supposed to be married to. A week later, I stumbled onto the secret. Sarah's phone buzzed on the kitchen table. A message popped up. "Can't wait to see you tonight." I froze. It was from a man named Tom, a name I'd never heard before. "Who's Tom?" I asked, but Sarah's face went cold. "Just someone I know," she said, too quickly. I didn't press. I shouldn't have. The next day, I saw them together. I was at the local grocery store when I spotted Sarah in the parking lot, leaning into a black sedan. A man stepped out, his hand brushing hers in a way only lovers do. My heart hammered. It was Tom, the stranger from the text. Something inside me broke. That night, I confronted her. "Why didn't you tell me?" She looked away, biting her lip. "It's complicated, Mark." The complications unraveled fast. David, her husband, wasn't just oblivious, he was controlling. The kind of man who used silence as a weapon and suspicion as a leash. "I'm stuck," Sarah whispered one night. "If David finds out, it won't just be divorce. It could get ugly." She begged me to keep quiet, to help cover it up. And then, I made the mistake. We were having coffee in her living room, the windows shut tight against the spring chill. "I can't keep lying," she said, voice low. "I know," I said, "but you have to be careful." She nodded, eyes clouded. I didn't mean to slip. The words came out before I caught them. "Tom's here again last night. I saw you." Her head snapped up, eyes wide with panic. "You weren't supposed to say that." Before I could explain, the phone rang. "David." She grabbed it, hands shaking. "Hello." Her voice was steady, but the silence on the other end screamed danger. 2 days later, the doorbell rang at dawn. A police officer stood on the porch, clipboard in hand. "Sarah Middleton." "Yes," she answered. "I'm here to serve a restraining order on your nephew, Mark Davis. He is to have no contact with you." I heard the words before she did. No contact. The walls I thought protected us came crashing down. I wasn't allowed inside. Sarah's eyes darted at me from behind the curtains, desperate but distant. The restraining order wasn't just about the affair. It was about the accidental confession, me revealing a secret she desperately tried to bury. I felt powerless, but I didn't stay that way for long. Over the next 2 weeks, I watched from the sidelines, piecing together what I could. David's grip on Sarah was tighter than I thought. He had lawyers, friends in the police, a reputation that silenced people, but Tom was a loose thread. I found out Tom was married too, living just a few towns over. The affair wasn't just a secret, it was a ticking time bomb. I started keeping notes, recording phone calls, snapping photos from a distance. I studied David's habits, his routines, his weaknesses. And Sarah, she began to change. No longer the terrified woman hiding in the shadows, she started pushing back, small defiant acts. The first twist came when I discovered Tom was planning to leave his wife and start fresh with Sarah. But he wasn't the man Sarah thought he was. A quick online search revealed a history of fraud, manipulation, and a pattern of ruining women's lives. Sarah was trading one cage for another. The second twist hit harder. I learned David knew about Tom all along. Not just knew, he was using it. He confronted Sarah with evidence, demanding she end it or face ruin. But she didn't back down. Instead, David started digging into Tom's past, hunting for dirt. The third twist, one I never saw coming, was Sarah herself. She wasn't just hiding an affair, she was hiding more. A financial fraud scheme, the source of which tied back to her dealings with Tom. David's anger wasn't just about jealousy. It was about money disappearing, records falsified, threats made, the stakes exploded. David filed for divorce, pushed for custody of his kids, and ramped up the legal war. Sarah's fear turned to fury, but she needed a plan, and fast. That's when I stepped in, not as a nephew, but as a silent strategist. I compiled everything. The fraud, Tom's lies, David's own skeletons. The key was precision, not rage. I leaked the financial records to the right people, lawyers, journalists, and most importantly, the police department investigating Tom. The evidence was undeniable. Tom was arrested on multiple counts. David's own dirty tactics came to light, exposing his corruption and threats. Sarah's restraining order against me vanished quietly in court, replaced by one against David for harassment and intimidation. She and I never talked about the affair again. The final move came on a cold morning 2 weeks later. Sarah signed the divorce papers in my presence. The house was quiet except for the scratch of the pen on paper. She looked at me and said, "Thank you for not giving up on me." I nodded, but inside, I knew the real thanks belonged to the plan we set in motion. The last twist, one David never expected, was buried in the divorce settlement. Sarah kept the house, the garden, and the freedom to rebuild. David lost everything, including any claim over her life. Tom's arrest meant Sarah's name was cleared in the fraud investigation. I watched Sarah walk out the front door that day. No fear in her step, no chains left to hold her down. And me, I stood in the driveway, the screen door slamming behind me once more. Only this time, I was walking away, not out. Some secrets are better left buried. But some truths need to be uncovered. That's the difference between silence and survival. And I'm still here, because I learned how to survive.